Cody, we recently hosted the second version of the in-person assessment seminar. And there were some pretty big differences, and we took away some pretty clear insights around how this practical application of theory makes a huge difference for people in the room.
Yeah. And, we've been doing, well, you guys have been, you've been with the company longer than I have. I mean, I got started with the company from a seminar, the Coaches Awareness Seminar in 2019. We've been doing seminars since 2017?
Yep.
So we're continuing, we're back in person. Obviously, we did virtual through COVID. We're now back in person as of December of last year was our first one. And we're iterating, we're improving. So to your point, we've updated what we're teaching, what we're doing, how we're doing it, why we're doing it. So I think it's valuable for us to talk about some of the changes that we made for this next version, or this version that we just delivered and that we will deliver again in September.
And what I saw, and I think you saw, coaches take away from this that they haven't in the past.
Yeah. So from a content perspective, there was a lot of updates and changes. One of the things that we took out was we took out the basic educational lectures. We did not do load versus capacity, rules for pain, hierarchy of needs. We more pop quiz those things.
There wasn't a lot of sitting and learning. There was a lot of sitting, making sure that you grasp concepts, fine-tuning that, and then a lot of the learning was on your feet, using your hands and your eyes and your words.
We took out the sales stuff. We took out the discovery call, the consultative process, and we swapped that in for more education and practical application around strength balance. We still worked the movement assessment. We even shortened the amount of repetitions and the time that we spent on that, because the people who were in the room, the expectation was that they've already done that for hundreds of reps, and we're just fine-tuning small things. And there's still opportunity that we saw there.
There were a few people that haven't had more than a handful of reps in those. And I think for them, it wasn't so little that they couldn't actually learn how to do it well. If it was their first exposure being coached on how to do it well, which I think is great.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the way that we rotate that, you get an opportunity to be the person being assessed, to be the coach assessing the client, and then to be an observer who's watching the whole thing go down. So you get multiple points of view and frames of reference.
I love that 3 roles piece. It's so helpful.
So we did do the assessment. We added in a lot of the strength balance conversations and movement selections based on assessment findings. That was one of the key differences about this seminar, was we were able to say, okay, here's the intervention that you're going to use now. So intervention being a modification. If you're doing any sort of group environment, you need to know based on the assessment how you're going to modify the squat, the hinge, the push, the pull, whatever the movement is that you're doing in session. And then we added an intervention for forever. This is how we create long-term change here.
So the difference between what can you do now to create a better opportunity for someone to get the most they can with this limitation, and then an intervention for how do we make it so this person doesn't have this limitation anymore.
Yeah, that's what we did from the intervention side. So we worked through, based on each assessment, how we would create and apply an intervention based on the findings.
What's really cool about this is that you always have someone who stands out as limited in a really interesting way whenever we're running through any of these movements or these screens. So everyone gets to see immediate, live, unscripted application of what it looks like to comprehensively assess and then program an intervention for someone specifically based on their needs. So you can start to see, well, when my clients see this, I'm going to have a better understanding of what I might be dealing with.
Yeah, I think one of the things that just came to my mind is like the critical thinking that happened in the room there was leaps and bounds.
That's what it is. Above
what we had in previous, because there was assessment, there was a lot of theory in there too.
Yep. I appreciate you using that. It's a term that I thought a lot about while it was happening, and it slipped my mind, so I'm glad you brought it up. The opportunity to think critically through what you're seeing, and then have the opportunity to demonstrate the application of idea about that was fantastic.
We had the interventions. We also talked about some strength balance ratios. We actually went through a case study. We went through 2 case studies with everybody in the room. One based on the traditional, the things we know, the squat, the hinge, the single leg squat, the single leg hinge. What ratios do we want? And that's going to be, for most of the clients you would be thinking about working with, that's going to be a little bit more performance based. And then we took somebody, like an example of a client that we actually have at the flagship, who walks in and they have some experience. We know their limitations. We know their goals, and they're not performance-based. We're not going to do a 6 to 12 rep back squat.
When you say not performance-based, you mean they're not trying to win anything?
That, or they're not interested in like squatting, back squatting, deadlifting as the thing.
I see.
That's going to get them where they want
I
to go.
follow. They're not pursuing maximum numbers in the gym for their own sake.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
So for that client, it's inappropriate for us to use squat ratios and deadlift ratios.
For the person who's not interested in that,
Yes.
it's inappropriate. Yep.
Correct. So we went through the second case study of the person, that type of person, the person not interested in that, who just wants to use the facility and use the gym as the tool to live a life that's inspiring to them outside of it.
Mm-hmm.
How would we start with basic competence and tolerance testing with that individual?
Yep.
From there, we went through, I think, 9 specific movements that we would utilize that we're able to help clients, and that maybe many coaches don't think about adding into their repertoire.
I thought that it was interesting to have conversation around why these movements, what are these movements doing? What are the ways that we should perform them? What are some common misconceptions about these movements? What are the risks? What are the rewards? It was great.
Mm-hmm. And in those coaching and teaching examples, everybody got the same opportunity. They were able to get coached through a movement, and then they were able to coach someone through that movement.
That's right.
We also added in some HSR, our heavy, slow resistance, so that the people in the room could get the feeling of what it's like to actually program that for your clients, and you get to be on the other side of that.
Yeah, I thought it was really helpful for people to see what going through a really strenuous tendon protocol looks like, even if it's just a couple of sets of one exercise of it, because you can start to understand putting someone through this is serious. It requires a lot of focus. It requires a lot of intention. It requires a lot of energy. And it's not something to take lightly. And it's something to make sure that you're dosing appropriately and putting it in an appropriate context and not just running them through a wall.
Yeah. Giving them an HSR protocol every day.
Yeah. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. HSR day.
HSR everything.
5 exercises
for 12 weeks.
2.5 hours of tempo at 8 out of 10 effort.
They get 3 weeks in and their body's breaking down and you can't understand why.
Rough. Hey, I can't shampoo. So I've just been asking my wife to do it for me because my arms are really sore.
Yeah. So you had some key takeaways that you had brought up before when we were talking about this that I think are very interesting for us to unpack. And these were some things that you found to be really valuable from this experience.
There are 2 that I saw in particular. One, I like watching very intently what the people in the room are doing while things are happening. I like observing their body language. I like paying attention to whether or not they're asking questions, how many, if it looks like they want to, but they don't, that sort of thing. And as the general spread of the population of human beings, there are some people that are more shy than not. There are people that are willing to raise their hand and throw it out there, whether they're competent in something or not. And then there are people who are unwilling to put themselves out there, whether they're competent or not. We all know the person who has great ideas and they just don't put themselves out there. So a lot of the people in this room have great ideas and didn't put themselves out there. And this was a fantastic environment for them to practice coming out of their shell a little bit and being courageous in the face of shyness and not wanting to get the answer wrong or not wanting to speak out where they feel like they're around really smart people. It was a great opportunity for people to practice becoming the person that they tell themselves they would like to be. And it's only a couple of actions that are separating them from who they think is so great, right? So that was really cool. The second is, it was really special to watch people with these ideas who did put themselves out there take an idea in their head about how they can critically think through something that they're seeing in the moment and what to do about it and try to problem solve. And then be put on the spot in front of everyone to go try it and then have it work or have it partially work. And what's cool about that is the immediate physical reality of what happens is going to give you the feedback on the effectiveness of your idea. But But then beyond that, there's a room of 34 other people total who can be either asking questions about or challenging your idea to make your idea better or more effective. And then you just have that forever now. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really, really helpful.
Yeah, it was the whole weekend was a great incubator for everybody in there. And it was like, I hate the term safe space, but it really was. Like, it was a safe.
Why do you hate the term safe space?
God, I think it's just overused. It's just like, whatever. We don't need to create a safe space. Like, the problem that might occur with that is you inhibit learning and growth.
If what?
If your sole priority is safety.
I see.
Because that's saying, like, we're not going to stretch into any discomfort. We're not going to have challenging ideas.
Yeah, well, safety doesn't mean comfortable.
Yeah.
I follow.
So there was a safe environment for learning there, because if you did have an idea and you voiced it, you got to test it. Like, if somebody brought up a movement, we would ask the group, like, what would you do here?
Yeah.
And they would say, I would do this. Great. Come out here and do it.
Yeah. Or explain why.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a laboratory. It was a place where you could break some eggs and figure out how the thing works and see if it was a good idea or not.
Yep. And to the safe piece of that, it's not with a client that you're working with.
You're one step ahead of me. I was going to say the same thing. Without having to test it out on a client's paid time.
Yeah. So that was a really cool factor and a really cool update to this seminar that we'll see in the next one.
What was another takeaway that you had? What else did you think was cool?
There was a lot more this time around, and I think it's because of the structure that we had. There was a lot more participation and less sitting and wanting to be talked to, and more wanting to be a part of the solution.
I love it. I also noticed that people seemed generally less cooked by the end of it.
I'm same.
Do you notice that?
Yeah.
And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that there was way less sitting.
Yeah.
They were on their feet. They were talking. They were moving. And I think that it just kept energy high the whole time. Yeah. People didn't look exhausted by the end of it.
Yeah. Where the previous two, like halfway through day 2.
Zombies.
There's like,
yep.
I remember 2 people fell asleep in the consultation lecture.
I think that was a big learning experience for us.
Yeah. We're doing this again.
Are we?
We're doing this again in September. So September 13th and 14th, we're going to see some iteration and improvement on this version, but we're going to do this version of the seminar again.
Love it.
It is for people in our curriculum. And it doesn't necessarily matter where you're at in the curriculum. We had people who were early on and people who had graduated in the room.
Everything from graduates to people that are finishing up their 100 level coursework.
Mm-hmm. If you're thinking about attending a seminar, this is a valuable one to attend.
Yeah, I don't know that even the 6-month post-grads who came to the first one would say that this one wasn't helpful. There were people that were at the first one 3 months ago. They came back to this one and they were stoked about it.
Yeah,
they took a lot away from it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of rich fodder here. And if you have any questions about it, you guys can always talk to us about it. We're happy to let you know if it's worth your time. And if you know someone who you think should go to this, ping them on it.
Love that.
Thanks, Cody.
Thanks, Larry.
I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Active Live podcast. If you did, please head to wherever you listen and leave us that 5-star rating. It really does go a long way. 5 stars goes a long way. Please leave them. If you're interested in working with us as a coach, remember, we help coaches from around the world build fulfilling careers, working with clients they're inspired to help so they never have to worry about being able to pay your bills again. No one's ever going to ask you if you are going to get a real job when you work with Active Life. All you have to do, head into the show notes, click the link that you find there, download our curriculum. That will give you a feel for what it is going to take for you to be successful. A team member of ours will reach out to you to find out if it's a fit for us to work together. Till the next show, turn pro.